Hello, and welcome to Dr. Says This About That. About what? About the Minnesota shootings. I am Dr. Cedric Wood, and I'm right here in Dallas, Texas, and I'm glad I'm far away from Minnesota right now with all the chaos going on up there. I'm going to try to keep this short, but there's so much going on. And the point of my podcast is that on TV, they're not talking about all the things going on nearly enough. Most what you get is commentary from the left about what the right's doing so wrong, in particular President Trump, or what President Trump or his people that are there in his cabinet are saying about the people on the left or the governor of Minnesota or the mayor of this Minneapolis, whatever. I mean, I have not heard a single one of them do step one, step two. What is that? Let me see if I can show it to you. Step two, and then there's step one right there. Step one is really all the healthy communication techniques there in a list. And then if you want to go to step two and say, however, this is also going on. In other words, step one is music to the other person's ears. And it would sound something like this. We understand, President Trump, that you would like to come into our state and capture the illegal immigrants, and especially those that are criminal and have done a lot of bad things, and pick them up and get them out of the country. We understand. I mean, they should have a set thing they say like that to show that they're being human. Then you say, however, we are really disturbed by how pushy or rough the ICE agents are being, and we would like for you to move them out. President Trump would say, I know that you've gotten used to all your neighbors there that are from foreign countries and you don't care if they're illegal or not, and you don't know which ones are actually criminals that have done a lot of bad things, and so you're not really in the mood or mindset to support us going in there and capturing those and picking them up and removing them. I understand. And then he would say, however, I'm concerned about all the illegal immigrants, and so are all the people who voted for me last fall. Back in the fall of 2024, the people that voted for me want me to pick up the illegal immigrants and move them out. So that's the two sides. The question is, how can you go forward with that agenda in a kind and caring way that doesn't stir up a lot of anger, as we see in the people who are demonstrating every day? Well, I understand why they're doing that. What I don't understand is why are there big lines of ICE agents standing out there holding them back? What are you holding them back from? Why are y'all out there in the street? Why aren't 3, 4, or maybe 5 ICE agents moving into a neighborhood, going into a house, capturing who they think is illegal, and taking them away? I literally do not know. Why all this confrontation in the middle of the street? So they need to share that with us. So the past head of ICE basically fired. He was sent back to California, and they got the immigration czar in there to do a better job, I hope. But back to either one of the ICE agents who shot and killed mostly basically just a basic citizen of the United States. And in my opinion, that's murder, and they need to be held accountable. No, they shouldn't be sent to prison for 40 years to life. No, but they should be punished for that. Not only to get them back for what they did, but also to show all of their coworkers that this is what's going to happen to you if you get trigger happy. Don't get trigger happy. The first guy who shot the mother of three in the head, he might have said, well, she was coming at me. If somebody's driving towards you, just jump out of the way. Guess what? That's exactly what you did. It worked out fine. You were safe. But she still felt the need to pump 3 bullets through her windshield. Okay, let's dip into the world of psychology. Philip Zimbardo, brilliant. I was around him many times at the APA conference, heard him speak, and his research consisted of the idea of getting a bunch of students back about 50 years ago who needed to make a little extra money, so he did an experiment. And he didn't choose the mean ones or the tall ones to be the guards at a make-believe prison or the short, shy ones to be the prisoners. They had a drawing system. If you drew an even number, you were a guard. If you drew an odd number, you were an inmate at a make-believe prison. They had it right there set up in one of the buildings there in San Francisco, I believe. What an interesting bit of research. I believe he had a girlfriend at the time, Dr. Zimbardo did, and she advised him after a couple of weeks, you've got to stop this research. These guards are getting so mean to the point that they're being abusive to these students that didn't do anything wrong. They just wanted to make a little money at the end of the semester, and they're just participating in your research. But now we're going over the line. What happened? Well, the ones that were given the power went into their power mode, and as you can see in my board there, they went into the parent mode and started coming on aggressive, angry parent. Here's 2 books, mostly I'm Okay, You're Okay. Right there, there's the 3 circles right there. And then here's the Okay Boss there by Muriel James, also an excellent book about transactional analysis. And so we can see it through this lens that they went into their parent. And I have different levels of the parent, and they were getting into higher and higher levels. And that's why his girlfriend said, you've got to stop this. So Philip Zimbardo stopped it, and he published it, and it's become world famous over the past 50 years. So it should have been, because it spoke about the idea that when you're given power, whether you're a parent or a boss or a teacher, you tend, or a therapist in a psychiatric hospital, which is where I've spent over 30 years, you get this, I want to say, power mad. I've got the power. You will do as I say. One time I walked up, this is just within the past year and a half, I walked up to a room where a group was going on, and I heard a woman's voice. She was an employee, and she was speaking to one of these young girls in the psychiatric unit, so somebody who was already sensitive. I heard her say, whatever her name was, Janet, stand up. Janet, get up off the floor. Stand up. Participate in the group. Come over here. And I went, whoa, okay. I never spoke to the patients in all my years of working in psychiatric hospitals in such a manner. And so as I approached the door and she saw me, she brought it down. Janet, would you like to participate? We'd like for you to participate. Why weren't you talking to her like that before I showed up? Because she went into her parent, and the Zimbardo effect is, I've got the power to control. Hey, if she didn't want to participate, ask her or gently encourage her, and then let her sit there. No big deal. Get on with helping the others that are standing and that are participating. And this is what is happening with the ICE and the people, agents, the people. And so who's ever involved in that with the training needs to train them, be mindful of this impulse, human impulse, when you're given power, to get power mad. And so here this man, he's a psychiatrist, no, was he? He was a ICU nurse. And he was holding up his phone to take movies, and somebody next to him got pushed to the ground, and so He's a nice guy. He reached over to help her up, and those ICE agents just attacked him. Now, he did something wrong. He fought back. He should have just gone limp and just went like this and let them put his arms behind his back and just rolled over and let them do that. But he started fighting back. So immediately, he's not innocent. Number one, he put himself into this tense situation, so he's not innocent about that. He wasn't grabbed off the street as he was walking to the grocery store. He went there to confront ICE. Number two, he fought back when they tried to grab his arm. Two mistakes. And then the Zimbardo Effect took over and the agents got power mad. Stop struggling. He's got a gun. Boom, 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 boom. Really? Right into his body. You're murdering, you're executing a, let's say, 90% innocent United States citizen. Why are you doing that? And they need to be talking to psychologists on the TV shows and asking psychologists, people like me, what was this about? What was going on? So back and forth they've gone, oh, he was there to do extreme damage. Christy Gnomes, take a deep breath, settle down, bring it down a few notches. He was not. And the others are then going full bore on the agents. What they should be doing is giving numbers to the culpability. And I'd say the man there was about a 10 or 20 in culpability. He didn't need to be there. He didn't need to be yelling at them. He didn't need to be resisting them. Now, the ICE agent's culpability is way up at an 80 or 90 because they were being aggressive and pushy. And then they whipped out their guns so fast and started pumping bullets into his body. That's not good. Now we go 11 days before this incident, and a little bit of a different picture of this innocent person. He wasn't a 10 or 20 on the culpability parent scale anymore. He was yelling at them. He tried to kick at their car. He missed the first time, and then they weren't leaving, and so he walked over there and kicked the taillight out of the car, knocked it right. That's doing damage to someone else's car. Well, they deserved it, he might have said. They need to be punished and hurt. Okay, so your culpability score just went from a 20 to a 50 or a 60. You're getting aggressive. And then they freeze frame it, and there's a gun in his belt behind his back. What are you doing bringing a gun to such a volatile situation, young man? Don't do that. Somebody, these people that liked him so much, his family, his co-workers, should have said, well, whatever you do, if you're going to go down there and protest, don't take a gun with you, and be very respectful. When they say move, you move. And you say, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Well, he had an attitude. Where it came from, I'm not sure. Preti is his name. I looked it up. It's Italian. So there's a lot of fiery attitude with a lot of Italians. Sorry. It just is. And so he was letting out that side to his personality, and it ended up getting him killed. It shouldn't have. The ICE agents were wrong to shoot him, but it was interesting to see him be so aggressive 11 days before. That was not wise. It was not advisable. You should not have done that. And so there's so much more psychological assessment of this situation about should we be getting people out like we are? Well, I read about the Somali diaspora in the 1990s. Why? Well, because their country was experiencing drought and floods, which led to the government fighting against the rivals. A civil war broke out. People were getting killed. Of course they tried to get out of there. Where should we go? Let's go to a place where there's not a civil war going on and where there's lots of jobs. Let's say Minnesota in the United States. Here we come. And they just poured over here. Was that advisable? I'm not going to go down that road, but it is something that somebody should address, this idea of foreigners who don't look like us, whether we're white or Asian or even Mexican. You don't look like. Now, I guess they're similar to all the African Americans here in the country, but Minnesota is not a big African American state, so why did you choose Minnesota? I don't understand. Did you feel safe there because there were so many Norwegians and Swedish people there? Did you want to intermix with them? They're wonderful people, those Northern Europeans. So somebody a lot smarter than me and more knowledgeable than me needs to address that. But so President Trump is going way overboard in this whole situation. But you have to say, in reaction to what? To President Biden going way overboard with saying, come on over. When I heard him say that, I was, what are you thinking, President Biden? No. Not only is that wrong for America, but it's going to reflect badly on you as a proficient president. Sure enough, it did. And he was not asked to run again to get reelected. I mean, I know there's more to the story than that. But here's my final comment. President Trump learned from President Biden's mistakes and realized with this kind of push, aggressive, and now 2 murders, the polls are going to show the dissatisfaction of the American people with your regime. I'm sorry, with your presidency. And they're going to vote Democrat left and right. Is that what Republicans want? No. So why are you behaving in a way that's going to cause a whole lot of people to vote Democrat? Why don't you behave in a way that causes people to vote Republican? Use your head, President Trump. Think about what you're doing. But what he's going to say is, he's going to say, but I'm in my megalomaniacal child ego state. Yes, you are. And I wish I could show you my, I might have it here. Let me see if I have it. Yes, there it is, right there. This is my cat model. And it starts over here with the child ego states right here. And then it swings up into a decision-making mode. There's your agenda, where you're going to go. Since I'm feeling this way, then I'm going to either go over to my adult or I'm going to go up into my parent. It's very advisable to go into your adult. President Trump is in his megalomaniacal child down here. I want what I want. I will do what I need to do to get what I want. Since I feel that way, he says, that's the agenda. I'm going to go up into my critical, controlling, coercive, even cruel parent. People are going to be hurt, they're going to be disgusted, and they're not going to vote Republican in the next election. Is that what you want, President Trump? Stop and think. Use your head. And listen to your advisors that are saying, tone it down. Even the Republicans and the senators, in the Senate representative, tone it down, pull it back a little bit. Come on now. You are exhibiting traits like no other president of being a tyrant, yes, and being a person who wants to be seen around the world as powerful. No wonder you were kind of friendly to President Putin, because that's exactly what he's doing, and creating a horrible outcome with so many deaths. I read that there was hundreds of thousands of Russian deaths that have happened. There's plenty of Ukrainians, but does he not care about his own people? It's mind-boggling. So the advisors to these 2 leaders, including the the president of China as well, they all need to bring it down, listen to their advisors who are saying, tone it down, go more smoothly, and we'll have continued success, and we won't have 350 million Americans moving against us in some way. Okay? Is that a good idea? I think that's a good idea. Thank you for tuning in. This is Dr. Cedric Wood, and I hope that what I said was beneficial. If you have any questions, please write me and put your questions in the question box, and I'll answer you. Stay warm. Have a good Saturday night. I'll see you next time.